back at Sam's Club today for filling up the van. Yeah, I had an interaction with a parent today at the playground. There's an indoor playground that we like to go to, and typically I only take the little ones because the big ones are in school, but it's incredibly hot out this week and I don't know how often we'll be able to get out. And I tried to be at we were at the place 10 minutes early so that, we could be the first ones in, first ones out and not, bother anybody. It is a little kid playground, but I told my big kids, hey, we need to cater to the little ones. Don't run around them, don't push them over, don't, it's really an etiquette thing for my kids. And I said, and if you're not going to respect, other people's children and this playground and what it's used for, then we got to leave. So anyway, we hadn't been in there very long. It wasn't super packed yet, but people were starting to come in, and there was a mom that came up to me and she was like, listen, I hate to do this, but here are the rules, this is the height requirement. It's for little kids, and the way that they're running and jumping, it's just intimidating for the little ones. And I was like, I am so sorry. I thank you for telling me. As far as playground etiquette, I think it's important as moms, parents, that we acknowledge, I need to know that, I need to hear that, and thank you for telling me, whether I agree with her or not. But I'm trying to understand, and I did agree with her. I was trying to understand where she was coming from. Maybe she saw something that I didn't, and also it's good feedback for my kids. So I said thank you, and I genuinely meant it. And I said too, I was like, are you okay? I said, are they being disrespectful? She's like, no, they're not being disrespectful. It's just intimidating for the little ones. And I said, okay, well, if my children were more quiet and more cautious around the little ones, would you be okay with us staying for a little bit longer? And she said, yeah, that was her problem. That was her issue, was she just wanted her kids to feel safe being there, which is completely valid. So, when it comes to, there's somebody here. So here's the rest of it. I said thank you to her. If I would have had sunglasses on, I would have taken them off to show eye contact, I really care, thank you. And then I also shook her hand. I said, hi, I'm Lauren, what's your name? And that just tore down the walls of whether she judged me that I was an irresponsible mom, whether she was afraid what I would say back to her. Because I'm sure other moms would be like, yeah, whatever, you can deal with it. My kid's not doing anything dangerous, and I don't care what the rules. Some people could be really confrontational if they were confronted like that. Just a minute, bud. Hey, bless. Stop. So all of that to say, I said thank you. I made eye contact. I said thank you for the feedback. I also offered her another solution. It wasn't just me, putting my tail between my legs and walking out. It wasn't me yelling at my kids in front of everybody. It wasn't me yelling back or being defensive towards this other woman. It was just thank you. I needed to hear that, and that's good feedback for me, and I will talk to my children, and are you okay with, and I had a counter offer. And I did notice too, and I told the kids before I even went in, I said, listen, if it starts to crowd up, we're going to leave, because that's too much when there's big kids there. Because I've had, when my older kids were younger, when I was first having kids, I would take my kids places, let's say to a Chick-fil-A playground or something like that. Love Chick-fil-A. This only happened once. But we went to an indoor playground of sorts, and there were a bunch of big kids that were just being wild and crazy. And for my little one, he couldn't even be in there. So I totally understood where she was coming from. So yeah, let's be kind at the playground. Let's also talk to people so that they get feedback. If they don't know, they can't grow. That's my biggest thing. I love feedback, because I can guarantee if I'm doing it here in this situation, I'm going to keep repeating it until somebody makes me aware that hey, this affected me this way. So I'm really proud of that mom for standing up and saying, hey, this doesn't line up with what this area was created for. But she also was willing to work together with me. Here's how it ended. She was like relieved. You could see she wasn't tense anymore. And then at the end, when it was starting to get crowded and when we did need to leave, I went up and thanked her. I'm like, hey, I have 3 little ones. You know it's hot. It's so hot this week. This was like my only opportunity to get them out of the house. 3 little boys, you know how it is. Just related with her. And she's like, no, I get it. And like, she saw me as a real person. She didn't see me as some big bully that was just there to run the play yard. We saw each other as allies, you know? So anyway, just some playground etiquette, something that I ran across today. I thought it would be good to share just different ways of handling things. Like, how would you handle if somebody approached you? And also, how do you approach someone in a kind of respectful way, which is what she did to me, which was great. All right, have a great day. Bye.